Okay, so here's a little video, and this little video, I'll put it in the Digging in the Truth Movement one. And what it is that this weekend near Bath, in a place called Radstock, there is a FRACK-free festival, and at that festival on the Saturday at 6 o'clock after the sacred ceremony, I'm giving a talk about law and lore. So I stayed up last night recording this as an introduction idea, get the thoughts together. What I'm saying is not necessarily easy to convey. What I've written is called Natural Lore of the Creation. What is the law? The law is a commonly used term, meaning something like a body of rules which everybody has to abide by. The law is like a piper who calls the tune. If everybody follows the law, then anyone who steps out of line will stand out a mile and get noticed. Dance, dance, wherever ye may be, I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and I lead you all wherever you may be, and I lead you all in the dance, said he. These words are from a story which Donovan sang about Christ Saviour, whose holy mission was to restore man's law back in harmony with God's law. Why ever it is that this man's story was deemed to be so important, it became the foundation stone of Western civilization. In Western Europe and the Americas, we live in Christian countries. In Britain, the Queen is monarch, head of state and head of the Church of England, the Protestant Church. According to tradition, free will gave us a choice: to accept and abide by God's law and live in heaven on earth, called the Garden of Eden, or ignore God's law, accept the devil's advice, and be cast down into hell on earth.
Daddy, what's that?
I got stopped writing this after 5 minutes by my daughter, climbing up on my lap like a cat. With my lady love, I've read back over what I've written and realized that what I've written says it all in the last paragraph. There's nothing to add apart from advice. According to tradition, free will gave us a choice: to accept and abide by God's law and live in heaven on earth, or ignore God's law, accept the devil's advice, and be cast down into hell on earth. There's nothing to add apart from advice. A man cannot serve two masters. To accept man-made laws is to break God's primary natural law. Hey! Thou shalt have no strange gods before me. The story of the 10 Commandments is strange. Moses comes down from Mount Sinai with the tablets and immediately gets angry with his people for worshipping a golden calf. He loses his temper and literally breaks the commandments. Having lost his temper, he smashes the 2 tablets on the ground. I literally don't know about the Bible. I've never read it from start to finish. I know that the Middle Eastern Hebrew stories, written in Hebrew, are not native to these lands. I know that the legions of the Church of the Holy Roman Empire waged war against our stories and against our storytellers, drove the Druids over the cliffs of Dover, over the edge of the cliffs of the Anglesey. Hey, gentle. No, come on, Bina. Hey, don't hurt me. Ah, you're like a little Roman attacking a Druid. Tara, watch. I am a philosopher-poet of the oral tradition. The sense of a story is what makes sense to a storyteller. A teller adds up and accounts for what is of value. At the end of the day, it's night time. Whee! The history of the written word is said to be only about 5,000 years old. There is no way to guess how old the origins of our spoken languages are. Our stories must be much older than the invention of writing. Spelling was only necessitated by writing, formalizing the expression of word sounds. Before spelling, life was allegorical, alliterated, lyrical. Stories were enchanting. Spells and their connotations. Connotations. Spell binding words. Writ ten in stone. Stone, graven images. Tones written in stone. The S moves, but the one stays still. Tones, tones, tones. Spell-binding words such as religion, from legio, as in ligament, to bind together. Words kill with words skill, and the S slithers like a snake, naked in the garden, whispering syllables, sickly sweet similes. You can be as God, says the sneaky naked snake. A syllable is a single unit of written or spoken word, an unbroken sound used to make up words. Words can be confusion, misleading, distraction, disinforming. Words like red herrings, garden paths, and forked tongues of devil's advocates speaking legalese. The intent of a sentence can be mistaken. Meaning can be taken as meaningless through misunderstandings. Here's an example of a true meaningless misunderstanding of words in law. From a dictionary. Licentious, an adjective. Licentious. 1. Promiscuous and unprincipled in sexual matters. A ruler's tyrannical and licentious behavior. Synonyms: dissolute, dissipated, debauched, degenerate, salacious, immoral, wanton, decadent, depraved, profligate, impure, sinful, wicked, corrupt, indecent, libertine, lustful, lecherous, lascivious, libidinous, prurient, lubricious, lewd, promiscuous, unchaste, carnal, fleshly, intemperate, abandoned, ribald, risque, smutty, dirty, filthy, coarse, perverted. You know, meanings of what licentious means. He was a Puritan in a licentious age. Number 2, archaic, disregarding accepted conventions, especially in grammar or literary style. Licentious, the granting of license. So let's gnaw the meat of ligaments clinging to the dog's bone. This is no dry academic soliloquy about the languages of God or the devil. This is about fracking and the so-called social license for fracking, about the so-called government granting licenses to private corporations, corpses without life, to delve into the earth to extract gas by pumping poisoned water into shale rock, creating fissures, creating explosions. This is about police and policing, about spies and spying, about lies and lying, about trials and trying. This is about courts and judges and legislature and lawyers and liars. This is about why the right to protest has left and is wrong in any case, however brief. If there is any truth in the right to protest, then why are protesters being arrested and charged and judged and persecuted? Why? Why are we told it is illegal to practice law? Why does the legal system declare that one needs a license to practice law? A license from the law society. You have to be called to the bar and get drunk. It is because it is against God's law to practice inequity, usury, and the occult. Is it because English law and common law and admiralty law and canon law are all man-made laws, conceived to deceive common sense and common knowledge? Sorry about all the confusing play on words inherent in this subject. I'm playing devil's advocate. Here's some simple research. Pope John Paul II abolished the office of the devil's advocate in 1983, after it had been in place for nearly 400 years. John the 23rd was beatified, made a saint, in 2000, after the Vatican certified that the healing of an Italian nun suffering from a gastric hemorrhage was miraculous. In the Vatican City, the Catholic Church makes saints to give the faithful role models. The process is cloaked in secrecy and open to criticism, given that it deals with science-defying miracles and notoriously politicalized choices of who to sanctify. This past Sunday, only a few days ago, a dual papal canonization of John Paul II and John the 23rd. In making these two people saints, it also involves rule breaking and fast-track procedures. So here's a little video from the internet about the current pope making two previous popes into saints.
A 100-foot tall crucifix that was built in honor of Pope John Paul II, it collapsed onto a 21-year-old man and killed him just days prior to John Paul II being declared a saint. This happened in a small town in a village in the Italian Alps on the Thursday before John Paul II was declared a saint. Now this...
Wow. I mean, that looks... let me start with some basics.
Okay.
That's one hell of a bendy crucifix. I mean, I'm not a crucifix expert. That looks bendy to me.
It's more of an art kind of installation, symbolic of... So when you're standing...
Is that not sacrilegious?
In
You're
front
allowed
of
to
it,
do that?
you're not looking up. He's literally
right
here.
Jesus.
So there was a bunch of school kids here in front of him. Yes. Visiting for a ceremony in conjunction with the making of the saint. And
sanctification? Is that the word we're looking for?
You can call it that. And the thing snapped. Okay.
That's awful. I mean, that's, again, some basic health and safety would have suggested that maybe, I mean, it's a bendy, and you go look back at it, it looks pretty bendy. You would have think that would be your first question.
It's a bit
Is it going to snap?
Yeah. It's been there since 2005, though. And they recently just did maintenance on it. So, okay, now we're talking about declaring of saints based upon miracles that they performed and omens and all this stuff. So what does it say? And it's just an odd omen to take place right before they're making the guy a saint for miracles that he performed. This fell onto a kid and killed him instantly. It was a 1,600-pound Jesus on a 100-foot crucifix. Jeez. Now, I'm not saying anything's wrong with the Pope or anything. It's just a little bit strange, and it got kind of pushed under the carpet because it didn't make for very
good press,
good PR.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So now there it is after it fell.
Oh God. Yeah.
It was put there to commemorate a visit by Pope John Paul II. Yeah. And that.
Holy mackerel.
So. In St. Peter's Square, during the ceremony, they actually have, this is one of these weird things that happens when they make a saint. You have to make a relic. You have a relic of the saint. And a relic is a piece of their body, a part of their body. Mm-hmm. And so they've taken some blood from John Paul II, and created this relic out of it. And they took some skin of the other Pope, John the 23rd, and made a relic out of that. It's a weird thing that the Catholics do. They like hide it under the altar or something, like it's something you pray to, or there's a piece of their body there. It's a weird thing that the Catholics do. I don't understand it either. But
it is a really strange. That's a really strange ritual, isn't
Yes.
it? I mean, if it wasn't part of the established Catholic faith, you would. That's oddly ritualistic. I mean, forgetting transubstantiation in the beginning, which is strange enough of itself, body and blood of Christ. Why are you drinking someone's blood? I never really figured that out. But to do that with the Pope, and then
this is it right here. Inside this is actually the relic of John Paul II being presented to Papa Francesco by the woman who he cured, who the Pope John Paul II
that was
cured.
That was his miracle.
That was his
cured,
second
what did he
miracle
cure of?
Some tumor.
Leprosy? Oh, tumor.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so there was a second miracle that he performed. The other Pope, 23rd, they let him off with one miracle.
Just the one.
Yeah.
So John Paul's a twofer. The other one's a onefer. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Not, I feel being totally sacrilegious here because I have respect, but there's people who think it's controversial to make a saint out of John Paul II, being that he presided in the time during AIDS, and he basically said it was still a sin to use birth control such as condoms to protect yourself from AIDS, and he also, did not come out strongly against pedophilia.
Right.
And
I'll go one better than that. Actually, he aided and abetted the cover-up. One could argue.
Yes. So there's a little bit of a controversy about that whole thing, but at least they have a little bit of his blood there. And it's just a little strange that this enormous crucifix fell on the eve of his canonization. That's the word. Bam. What has that got to say about the Pope? I don't know. You tell me what you think. Write it down there. I'm sorry, you're Catholic. If it upsets you, tell me what you think that means, or if it means anything, or just completely just coincidental. And we're looking forward to hearing your comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the Lip TV.
So the simple thing that I'm saying there is that we're following a legal system that's against the laws of nature. And our nature is being destroyed by the legal system and everything that supports the legal system. And we're involved in the legal system because the legal system has tricked us from birth. Our two daughters, we registered them with the Queen. The law doesn't tell us this, and the legal system doesn't tell us this. But when you register your children, you essentially make them orphans, and they're adopted by the state, and the state becomes their guardian, and you're just the keeper of your child. Just like when you register your car, you're no longer the owner of the car, you're the registered keeper. You don't own your house, you're a householder, etc., etc., etc. So the legal system is a scam pretending to be law. It's a replication of natural law and God's law. This is how come people are being arrested off the street continually, as exampled in Balcombe or in Barton Moss. How come people can be arrested for doing something that's apparently legally allowed, the right to protest? Here's a garden. It's a garden now. It was just a mess. This is at the back of an estate in Bath.
Come on, Dad.
This
Your house.
is a bucket of glass.
That's your house, Dad.
This is all broken glass,
That's your house.
all dumped in this garden by everybody,
That's
by the
your
builders,
house,
by
Dad.
the people who've run through this garden to get to a drug dealer's place up the road because it's a shortcut. Broken glass, broken glass, broken glass, all really dangerous. And yet little B didn't get hurt once. That's the natural law.
Come on, Dad.
So the law can be healed, the earth can be healed, the truth can be restored, life can grow again. If you're coming to the FRACK Free Festival this weekend, come up and have a chat with us if you like. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching. You got anything to say to the people, B?
And so, oh, Dad, my dad. My friend dad is our dad. Oh, my mom. My mom is all my mommy. This is my mom. Mom goes home. Mom goes Huh? Where's living the
That's the bus coming back. Maybe that's Granny. You hear the bus in the background? Could be Granny and your little sister. Bye, everybody.